When we speak about the soul mission, which is the Ikigai, we use this beautiful word that comes from Japan. It's actually from the island of Okinawa. And Iki means life, and Gai means something that is precious, that is worth. Originally, the word Gai in the ancient Japanese means shell, because shells were something that were precious. And then the combination of the two words together became something that is precious in your life, which from some authors have then been translating in happiness, exactly what we are, what is making our life happy. And in order to reach our Ikigai, our soul missions, to realize what we are here for in our life, is not something like reaching enlightenment, like reaching that situation in which everything will work out at some point. It's something that we need to start evoking before. And as soon as we realize that something is not working in our life, as soon as we realize that actually the job in which we are is not merging with our deep wishes, which is what happens the majority of times, is just there to pay the bills, or that the situations, the people around us are actually not aligned with our inner vision, but they've always been there, or they have joined our life, and we don't feel the courage sometimes just because we don't want to be alone, to leave them and to distantiate ourselves from them. So we start having around people and situations that are actually sucking our energy, and without even realizing that, our energetic field absorbs this situation. And that's exactly why sometimes we need healing. It can be shamanic healing, or it can be any sort of healing that we feel we want to receive. But when we speak about the Ikigai, there is, of course, a spirit inside the event of our meeting with Ikigai, which is our main spirit, which is the so-called daimon in Latin, which is the spirit, that the main guide that has been given to us, even if we have many guides, we have many allies, because he's the carer, he's the protector of our own reason for being. So when we ask ourselves, okay, how do I meet my Ikigai? How do I realize my soul mission? First of all, the things that we need to do is to ask our spirit guide, ask our Ikigai to come to us. It's not vice versa, that we keep journeying, we keep traveling our life, and at some point we meet each other. We need to ask our spirit to come to us. So there is this deep intention, which is always the intention of what makes the difference in our life, to have this deep meeting in our life. We need, second of all, to have energy to start this journey, because this is essential whatever we are doing in our life, to have the exact energy, like a machine that needs to start going. We need the fuel inside the machine, otherwise the machine doesn't go anywhere else. And when we ask our Ikigai to come to us, how do we recognize it? Of course, the spirit, as I always say, speaks through images. So the way to read images is changing our reading code, is changing our reading code from the system to a poetic mind, to try to interpret the images, try to read the sign around us, which not necessarily are signs that can come to us in special occasions, because it means we need to read suns. We need to learn how to read the sunset. How to read because the spirit is all the spirits in general are communicating to us through the daily images. And it's where exactly then we start observing the synchronicities. We start observing the whole puzzle. At some point it will become clear. At the beginning, we are just collecting details, we are just collecting elements, and then at some point we just be happening in any situations, which is Just also maybe sometimes the realization happens in a moment in which we are quiet, in which we are with ourselves and not in our busy life. We realize just being there in that silence with ourselves that we understand what these images and meanings are. And also what happens when we change the reading code is just our own reality changes, our own way of living our daily life changes, because we start seeing things in a different perspective. So also some situations that are not necessarily pleasant, we start transmuting them. We stop speaking in a negative way. We stop complaining, which is very hard in general, and we keep changing the way we describe situations. We know the power of the positive sentences, of the positive way of expressing ourselves. Instead of highlighting a situation like with a weakness, with an element of weakness, with an element in which something external or something inside us is not working, which actually see that our warrior guides want us to become a warrior, want us to become a fighter, because in that situation, we were challenged a lot and we had to face some difficulties. And so again, we see the positive aspect of these situations. So changing, of course, this reading is helping us in this way in life and in the journey of finding our own Ikigai. Then we need to know, how do we find our soul missions? We need to be aware of our skills and our gifts, the one that we have been given from life, that sometimes belong to our parents as well, to our ancestors as well, but they didn't have the opportunity to use them. Or there are also skills that we gain throughout our own life. So it's a combination between them, and we need to be very practical, and in that moment, the specific skills that have been given to us are not been given to us by chance, in a random situations, but because we need them. We need those specific things to realize what we are doing. Even if sometimes they have nothing to do with our final realization, but somehow we will need them. Somehow we will use them. Like, for example, I have a past of over 20 years of corporate life. How does that merge with the spiritual life that I'm living at the moment, with teaching shamanism, with running not-for-profit organization, the Art Spirituality Center in Edinburgh. Those years of my life were very useful in learning all the skills that you need, of course, to run a business, because the sky needs to be taken to earth. The sky needs to meet exactly and reach people from a practical point of view. We cannot just stay there. The teachings need to be applied to reality. So you need those skills. Then, of course, you may have passed these years in which you learn a lot of patience. Some situations in which life wants you to stay there, to learn how to deal and interact with a variety of people. You learn the psychological element of dealing with different people, and for some of them it's not a choice. For some it is. So at some point you just become proud of your past because it's part of your life. So there is you never have to have any regrets for any element of your life, even if it's not merging with what you're doing at the moment. But for some reason, they are complementary. They go well together because they express different elements in your life, and you learn pieces and you take them with you and you have experience. And then especially now, because in the moment you decide to take the element of self-care to them, you have passed through exactly those situations and you know exactly what they went through, the difficulties, the sufferings, and so definitely then you become the best person in order to help some others to stay in some situations because you've had exactly the same experience. And then at the end of all this process, when of course you are in this journey of trying to find, to meet Ikigai, you need to have a lot of faith, a lot of love, faith, trust in the process, letting an expectation, trusting it will be revealed when you are ready, necessarily choosing situations. Because sometimes you need to stay in situations that you don't necessarily like many years. And you keep asking yourself, why do I need to stay in these situations for so long? Because this is exactly what your soul needs to learn some elements, and also for the external conditions to become right for you to be able to start the second journey of building this mission that has always to do with others. Because the Ikigai is always to do with others. It's not self-realization. Has always to do with helping others. It's just that each of us does in a different way. It can be with bakery. It can be helping others from the poor perspective. It can be opening a spiritual center. It can be some art, painting. It can be helping people to from a practical point of view, becoming a plumber. It can also be a soul mission. It doesn't need necessarily to be something special. It's that moment in which you feel realized from your heart point of view, and you wouldn't want to be anywhere else than just doing what is your passion.